Stigmatization around mental health still exists. In the last several years, there's been an uptick in shared treatment experiences, specifically for those who were in treatment as an adolescent over the last 30 years. As a consultant working with young adults only, it's been unsettling to hear about the horrific experiences that some folks have described. As someone trained as a counselor, we were taught to do no harm. I lead with this for each client I work with. While recording this special parent series, over the last year, several parents have suggested I interview their young adults. The special parent series is noted as being just that. It's about the parent perspective only. I'm now branching out to launch the former participant series, extending the opportunity for former participants who feel comfortable talking about their journey, doing so on this podcast. No topic is off limits, and not all stories are positive. This series is meant to be honest, transparent, and real for each individual's experience through the treatment continuum. Please note that this special former participant series is the adult's perspective of their treatment experience during adolescence or as a young adult. This is merely one perspective of a single story, and it's important to know that names have been changed for the protection of the interviewee unless they have requested not to do so. These episodes may include details surrounding suicide, self-harm, substance abuse, including overdose, hospitalizations, psychotic episodes, and other traumatic experiences which include parts of the treatment journey. That includes working with consultants, being escorted by a transport company, wilderness therapy, and a residential treatment program. All that is to say, listener discretion is advised. Welcome to an episode with a former participant in treatment.
It's time now for the Success is Subjective podcast. Here is your host and therapeutic consultant for young adults only, Joanna Lilly.
Hi, and welcome to the show. If you're new here, I'm glad to have you. This podcast was formed to collectively build a bank of stories from normal people sharing their non-linear paths. Unfortunately, social media paints a narrow picture of what success looks like, so I'm doing my best to spread the news that changing course is common and you don't have to know what you want to do the rest of your life at 18. If you're a parent worried about your young adult and whether their path is leading them to success, you're in the right place. I'm a therapeutic consultant who works with young adults to connect them with resources that'll help them get back on that path to success. So if you're curious, let's chat. You can schedule a free consultation through my website. Today, my guest is Andy. Andy is a former treatment program participant who's currently in a Master's of Social Work program in New England. He was eager to share with me his experience in a wilderness therapy program, even diving specifically into talking about the type of therapeutic modality that shocked him into almost leaving the program because it was so scary to him how much it helped. He then goes into talking about his experience at a young adult transitional program. And he talks about how really nothing is perfect, and yet he has great advice to give any young adult looking to get help for themselves. Let's not wait any longer. Here's Andy. Andy, thanks again for being a guest on the Success is Subjective series for former participants. If you're okay with just jumping right in, why don't you actually tell our listeners, where did you grow up? Just so I don't even know that.
Yeah, I grew up just outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in a suburb called Fox Chapel. I was about 20 minutes away from the city. So yeah, Steelers country, hardcore. Pittsburgh now is very nice. When I was growing up, it was pretty still down on its luck.
Yeah.
Early 90s, late 2000s, it was just getting back up. So yeah, I have a city background, but Pittsburgh also not doing too hot when I grew up. So I'm a little bit of both, city and yeah, suburbia kind of country, because right as you get out of the city, it's pretty empty.
Yeah, that's what I remember about Western Pennsylvania, the area, like you said, Pittsburgh being quote unquote the city, right? But then as soon as you're in the outskirts, it can feel pretty remote pretty quick.
Yeah, and back when I was growing up there wasn't much to do in the city, so just kind of a pretty suburban, isolated
So
upbringing.
let's use that as an opportunity to kind of segue into like, how did we get from, like you said, being raised in Pittsburgh when it was kind of down on its luck and kind of on an upward trajectory where things have changed now. But like, what happened that led to you going to a treatment program?
For me, I think about it a lot. I mean, obviously, it's a big part of my life. I'm also in grad school for social work now, so I learn more things about myself through like studying. But for me, I think it was like three major like components. One, I have a chronic condition that I deal with. I have migraines that have persisted my entire life, and then anxiety from that, or just on its own. I can never tell where one ended and one beginning. And then I started, like many young adults, especially in Pittsburgh, drinking's very, if you've ever been to that part of the country, like Steelers games, everyone's drinking. So I started drinking and using pretty young, and that was pretty much like I was doing it just because everyone else was doing it. I had like three older siblings. They could drink and go to college normally. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll do the same. And I think I started, and it was the first time that I could kind of get away from like migraines, anxiety, X, Y, and Z. And it kind of just spiraled from there. I think for me, a big thing was not realizing I had a problem because my anxiety was so bad. Went to wilderness being like, anxiety is my major problem, not realizing that it's just a bundle of bad and they're all tied together. It was my like attempt to solve like all the pain that I was dealing with from like migraines and how anxious I was. I ended up going to wilderness when I was like 21, 22-ish, because it was getting so bad on my own, and that I was just losing like any semblance of a life, that I just kind of gave up and accepted that I didn't think I needed like, I don't know, it's hard for me to say. Like, there's a part of me that was like, I needed stuff to change. I was getting help sporadically with therapy and everything, but it wasn't working. And I think a part of me was just really afraid of what could happen, because I was getting to a point where I was using a lot. It wasn't working. I couldn't go anywhere without drinking. I couldn't go to the store without like having a few beers because I was so anxious.
That's serious.
And like my anxiety disorder was really like destroying my life, and I didn't understand the spiral was connected. And I think that fear / clarity for the first time was like, I need to do something different. I also did Knowles, so like before wilderness, so I wasn't really afraid of the wilderness experience.
That's what I was gonna ask, because I was like, how did you go from like what you just described to like going to a wilderness program? Was that something that you sought out? Like, hey, if I'm going to do an intensive therapy experience here, I've had this Knowles experience before, I want to find something that's outdoor oriented, or was it like,
it was
here's what we
mainly pitched by my parents. I did have the Knowles experience beforehand, so I wasn't as anxious about it. At that point, I was like ending a lease in DC where I was like working sporadically. I didn't want to go back home because going home was never good for me. My options ran out, and I was kind of just like, I will have like, in one hand, I really wanted it. In the other hand, I was very afraid, where I was just like, give me any other option. Because I don't think I had the mindset of like, I can't keep rolling whatever dice I'm rolling. Because they're going to run out and I'm not going to get lucky so many times. So I kind of just, gave it over to my parents, and I was just like, we need to try something different. Even though I was like reluctant, there was a part of me that knew I needed to quit doing what I was doing.
So how was that wilderness experience for you then?
For me, it was very helpful, but extremely hard. I did brain spotting, and that really helped with my anxiety, so much so that it like scared me. Because I used to not be able to like feel my hands, and then I did trauma therapy, and I could like, because my anxiety always shows up in my hands, that's just how it's been. I did a long brain spotting session, and that went away. and I didn't know I could live a life that I wouldn't be that anxious, and it scared me so much that I tried to like walk out, even though I actually didn't want to. I was just so like, it's like going from having like, it felt like I was living in the dark for so long just because of how anxious I was, and then
Yeah.
it like rip a band-aid off and you're going to be.
It was too much too soon.
Yeah, I think now I'm like, that did save my life, but like in the moment, as someone that like experienced that throughout my entire life, that anxiety just felt like it was always going to be there.
Yeah.
And then having it go away relatively easily. Like, it was a long session. I'm known for like, the therapist knew me for being able to do like very long brain spotting sessions. But having that happen, I just got like, yeah, I think spooked. You're afraid of good things when you're used to bad things. And I like tried to walk out. Uh, and I came back, and I'm like happy that I stuck it through, because my life got like extremely better after. But it
Yeah.
was definitely a shock of like, you can have good shocks too.
Yeah.
uh,
So let me ask you a
yeah,
specific question, because you actually just kind of you hinted at like my life got so much better. So I want to ask that
yeah,
question. Here's the follow-up question, like, okay, so now that you've had this treatment experience, how has that helped your life today? But before you answer that question,
yeah.
I feel like something that is really common that a lot of, adolescents or young adults that have specifically been in a wilderness
Hmm.
oriented treatment program, they know the amount of days that they've been in the program, or they can
Yeah.
like a roundabout. Is that something that you kind of think about? I know I'm really going
Yeah.
off script.
No, I think I have it remembered. I think I was like 11 weeks and like a few days
Okay.
to the dot. It's just like a way to keep time uh out there. So I still remember it. I think it's been a decently long time for me now.
Yeah.
I knew when I was in my residential program I could tell you to the like day how long it was, but now it doesn't seem
It's not quite as relevant anymore.
as important. Like, there it felt
Yeah.
extremely important, but
Yeah.
now it's just a part of my life.
Okay, so going back to the question, then you talked
Yeah,
about the like, hey, this really helped me. So, and you also mentioned like you're in a master's social work program. We're going to
yeah.
get to that here in a second. But tell us just about that experience, brain spotting in a
Hmm.
wilderness oriented program. How has that helped your life today?
For me, it's been like specifically the like trauma informed. I went to New Vision. You had someone on that was in my group named Jack uh, recently, and that really helped. Just like, it always felt like there was a part of my brain I couldn't access because I was so anxious because of trauma, how that all affects the brain. And it opened it up enough that I feel like I could finally live my life. And I think, again, some of that's like migraine related, like CPTSD over a long period of time, which I didn't put together. It's like hindsight's 2020, and I feel like I have a lot of that in
Yeah.
my life. And it just gave me the ability to be who I am. I think the fact that I kind of chose to go on my own made it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
That I saw, like, I was lucky enough that I saw the writing on the wall for my own life, for better or worse, and made that decision. But currently, I'm sitting at like about 5.5 years sober. I worked in treatment for a couple years. That's what led me to going to social work school for my master's.
Wow.
I moved, like, I'm in a place that I love. I live just south of Portland, Maine, and I'm like, I love Maine, and I'm glad I chose here, and I'm never gonna leave. Like, I surf during the winter, like stuff that I like essentially put down when my
Yeah.
life was getting bad. Like, I stopped surfing because I was hungover. Like, I got kicked out of school. Like, I was just all these reasons that I thought was like due to my like anxiety or mental health
Hmm.
that I thought would never uh, changed. And I think, as someone that's worked in treatment and everything, like, there's a part of me that there's always like, treatment can be good and bad for everyone.
Hmm.
And it's also the way that you like view the world. And I viewed the world like pretty bad and pretty negatively, and thought it would
Yeah.
never change. And now, like, I still have hard times, but I know life can like has a chance to be good. and I'm glad that I have all the support that I did. Like, I know it could have been like way harder to get where I am.
Yeah.
Uh, and I've seen it through like just being sober and in the community and working with everyone that I do. And yeah, just kind of happy that the life worked out this way. But again, it was all like very scary at the start. I'm not going to deny
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I think I appreciate you being honest about the, like, I think there's a couple things that I want to highlight. You just talked about it, like everybody's treatment experience is different, and a lot of it has to do with where they are, right? It has to do with the community that they're with, the therapist that they're matched with, their training, like how's the weather, how they're raised, mental health stigmatization. Like, I mean, there's so many factors. And so it just makes it really challenging. But I think the biggest piece in all of this, and what really differentiates whether or not somebody has a quote unquote healthy or transformative experience, is if they feel like, whether it's an adolescent or a young adult, if they feel like life could not get any worse, right? Like that, the fear of taking that leap or like showing up for that program it's hard, right? It's scary, but it's worth it, because how life is right now just is so painful. And I cannot continuously wrap my head around living like this, like much longer.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened to me. I essentially was like in a apartment with like my brother and his roommate, but I like lived in the basement, and I was like essentially just using and like suicidal every day for like 2 years. And I was just like, well, anything's better than this. Like, and I had good things, like that I had family nearby, like my sister lived in DC as well. Like, I wasn't like beyond the substance use, like school was okay. Like, I was book smart. Like, there were always like, looking back on it now, I can be like, there were good things that I didn't hold on to.
Yeah.
But overall, it was so bad that I was like, if I have to be in the woods for a couple months, I'm pretty young still. I was 21 turning 22. Even though people are ahead of me, like, it can't be worse than whatever this is. Like,
yeah,
if it requires me to fall on the sword for a year, like, I'll take that like any day. As someone that, I think it made it easier for me coming from someone with like a chronic condition for so long. Like, I already felt like I lost years of my life to migraines. I was like, few months isn't that bad. Like, a few months to a year, whatever at this point.
Yeah.
And though that was like in and out of me being aware of it, like some days I rebelled against it, and some days I was like, whatever, it's a year. What being a young adult is like seeing that there's some things that like old people have right, and some things that you're still like, well, this is stupid, I'm gonna do it my way.
So you're talking about a full year, and we also started obviously with you being in wilderness for a couple months, and so almost 3 months. Is that how you landed in like the Portland area? You went to some sort of experience after the wilderness program, and that's where you continued therapy. Okay.
Yeah, I went to.
I'm putting two and two together.
Yeah, I went to Cornerstones of Maine.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so you were at a young adult transition program, which I get asked all the time how that experience is, and the way that I try to explain it when I'm working with a young adult. So I totally want to hear your perspective. It's like when you're in a wilderness program, you're often, for the most part, removed from a lot of those like community integrated pressures, right? Like anything that might be triggering to you, anything that might be tempting. Yeah. So we have the opportunity to kind of be in a little bit of a bubble and focus on the work that needs to be done. Then when you step down to some sort of transitional program, it's like, we're going to carry that torch of continuing to do the therapeutic work and like coach you through how to reintegrate into a community. But again, I say that's like the rubber meeting the road. It's also really hard. A lot of young adults are like, what the heck? This was like not what I signed up for. I mean, I'm bored sometimes. And it's like, but that's actually life. So I'm going to stop rambling about generically how young adult transition programs show up. But tell me, how was that experience for you?
For me, it was really great. I made the decision somewhat selfishly because I was up against 2 programs, and I was like, I want to start surfing again. And I was lucky that Josh, the director out here, was like, I'll take you surfing if you come here. And the other program was like 3 hours away from the water. And I was like, I'm not doing that. It was like a very basic, short sighted decision that I'm like, I'm glad I made it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, yeah, I'll go to Maine, like if it means I can surf. Like,
Yeah.
but I got super duper lucky in the fact that like I was like pretty smart and aware of like what I needed. I went over it with my therapist in wilderness. I was like, I know I'm going to need more support. I know it's going to be hard after this. That's how this stuff works. Like, so I think I'm lucky that I had that perspective of like knowing that I couldn't get just like shot out of a cannon and like land back on my feet right away. So I like looked for programs around that area that had support but allowed me to like get my life back on my feet. But like if
Yeah.
anything happened, like a now I know it's like a holistic program. Back then I was just like, I know I can't come back out and act like I'm okay. And I got lucky here because Portland has a great recovery community. I can surf year round. I met like great people and I had great therapists at my transitional program. And I think the stars just aligned out of like a short-sighted decision. And I was also in the mindset that it's, yeah, I'm going to have to like battle through this too. Like
Yeah.
I'm somewhat used to that idea from like migraines because that's what I've had to do for my
Yeah.
entire life. So I think I wasn't going into treatment with like rose colored glasses. I was like, I
Yeah.
knew this was going to be hard. Like wilderness was hard. If
Yeah.
I'm going to be in something, it's probably not going to be what I want. But also, I was at the point where I was like, whatever I was doing wasn't working out. So maybe I should like shut up and like listen to people. I was in that like half, yeah, I was always like half in, half out, where it'd be like some days I'd be like, but do I have to always like
Yeah.
listen? And then I'd be like, oh yeah, intellectually I knew like nothing I did worked. So like,
Yeah.
and I think that's just like a part of my story where I'm lucky, where I've been able to like re-ground myself to that,
Yeah.
and that I didn't have it all figured out, and that was okay.
Yeah.
And then as someone that's worked in treatment, I find people struggling with that same battle inside you, where it's like what I wasn't doing is working out, but I also don't want to listen to people. And it's like,
Yeah.
how do you have both things in one hand? But for me, at the end of the day, I think I was so afraid of like what the other option would be, which is like if I pick up again or if I
Mm.
let my anxiety get out of control, like I'm not gonna make it through this. That fear kind of worked for good, and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
like might as well be all in because like whatever I was doing wasn't working, and like the stakes are so high now.
Well, let me ask you this question because I feel like you just by sharing some of your own essentially like the internal dialogue minute to minute for you personally and
Yeah.
also in some of the like participants in the programs that you worked at, you've seen it. It's very
Mhm.
fresh. You kind of imparted some advice without actually even like saying that you were imparting advice.
Yeah.
But I'm curious if I ask you the specific question, like if you could give a piece of advice to any
Mhm.
young adult specifically, right? Again, thinking about younger Andy,
Mhm.
pre-treatment, trying to make that decision.
Yeah.
Is there any advice you would give them, like what to expect or just anything? Like what's top of mind?
Yeah.
Maybe something that you haven't already shared.
For me, it's something that I've just like thought about a lot, and it's like something that I've worked on in like developing my own practice. Is that like things are gonna be hard, and like that's okay. Like that's something I didn't really understand because I think it was just at least when I went into wilderness, and like now that the conversation on mental health's so big, like I still think there's a lot of like to make your life better, like doing hard things is worth it, but it's gonna be hard, and like that's probably a good sign because you're like moving away from what you were. And I like, yeah, I think I got lucky that I also read a book called Man's Search for Meaning in Wilderness, and that like changed my life, which is like the living life is like learning through the progress, not like getting a goal. And that kind of like switched my brain. So I'd say that to a lot of the clients that I work with, where I'm like, you can still find amazing things like on your way to the goal. and like the struggle is always going to be there. So like that's okay. That's like the human experience. And two, like I self-justified my way into like so much pain, and like was that worth it? Probably not. And like, can I take responsibility for that? It's something that I always have to remind myself, and like stuff that I see all the time where it's like, this could be completely valid, but like you're still putting yourself, I put myself through a lot of unnecessary pain just to believe that I was right, even if I was like actively blowing up my life in front of me. But I didn't talk to anyone else. I didn't have a community. I didn't listen to anyone. I wasn't able to hear maybe some wisdom that was like right in front of my face the entire time. And I also feel like that's part of the human experience, is like you can learn something new every day, but if your ears are closed and you're like always in the right, that's never going to happen. And I had like people reach out way before. I had people say like, hey, you should get sober, like way before I even entered treatment. Mm-hmm. It was always there. I just thought I was unstoppable or like too smart to listen. So I think my thing is always, even if you like don't want to hear it, people do have the best interests at heart. Like people don't want to see people going through pain. Like I feel like that's a human experience regardless of who you are. Like no one wants to see someone in a lot of mental, emotional, physical pain like in front of them. Like even if you don't agree with it or like don't want to hear it, like I think they are thinking in your best interest, even if it's hard to hear. Because I know now looking back on it, like I'm so glad my mom reached out to an EC and got me in a program and like all these things, and like I hated her for it. It was right. It was like a human thing to do if you're watching your like son die in front of you slowly. I think sometimes I'm like lucky that I can talk to the clients that I have like as someone that experienced it and like say those hard truths and know that it's not like being talked down to, and that I've like experienced it. And sorry, that was like a long-winded way to say like a short amount, but that's the like social worker in me now.
That's perfect. Honestly, I think that's actually, you were infusing so much advice. I didn't want to stop you. And honestly, congratulations on working towards your MSW. I think your personal experience obviously is influencing you being the sponge in the classes, which then also translates to how you show up and will continue to show up for clients that you work with in the future. So Andy, thank you again for carving out some time, sharing your personal story, being vulnerable, honest, transparent, all the things. I know that there are going to be other young adults listening to this, or parents of young people that are worried, like when do I, do I make that step? Do I intervene? Do I reach out? And so I think that you have, by sharing your story, really cast a pebble in a pond that will have a pretty significant ripple effect. So thank you again.
Thank you.
That's it for this week's Success is Subjective episode. We want to thank our guest for joining Joanna on the show this week and for being willing to share your journey. This podcast would not exist if it weren't for people such as yourself. Stay tuned for our next episode, where you can bet it'll be another amazing human sharing their personal story with the world. Make sure you check out the show notes, where you will find contact information, website details, and all social media for our guest. If you're interested in being a guest on the podcast, you can email Joanna at lilyconsulting.com. Be sure to check out the lilyconsulting.com website for additional resources outside of podcasting. Now, if you're listening to the show on Apple Podcasts, please subscribe. And while you're at it, feel free to leave a review. You can also download to listen to the Success is Subjective podcast on other popular podcast apps, such as Audible, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn Radio. Thanks again for listening in, and remember, there is no single path through life. Success is what you make it.